Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by, let's have a look in G+, we've got Quantum Eraser, 10th Man, Paul, Brian, Chocolate Saiyan, Righteous Force, Anon Moto, and Arwin. Hopefully I haven't missed anybody.
Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We've also got a whole bunch of people in Discord as well, so welcome to all of you in Discord.
Hello, Nathan. So nice to be.
Hello.
Very good to have you here. Any signs of Earth curvature?
Not from the Golan Heights, formerly Syria.
Not on Discord, but there are signs of lots of people in the chat typing that I don't understand.
Only in images.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Not according to the EQ main telescope.
No scientific evidence of the Earth-based variety of axial rotation.
Any evidence of a single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of cosmology, astrophysics, or astronomy in their entire history?
No scientific hypothesis of any of those.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container?
I wouldn't have to spend $500 on tires yesterday.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Nope.
No evidence for the size of the sun, if any, either. I mean the physical size.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No, just pictures and books.
Not
They
at
had
the
a
center,
pretty
not off
diagram in
center,
my
not in any way.
textbook when I was a kid.
That doesn't count.
Darn it. Then no.
Any more?
It's all just conceptual.
Agreed. What about the R value itself? Earth radius. Any evidence of that?
Of the number, or the number being real?
Letter.
None whatsoever.
I remember a certain guy, and I think it was episode 267. Could be wrong, but I think he pretty much told us that it was based off the standard model,
Yeah,
which is crazy because he uses that in a Earth curve calculation, which is a presupposition. So yeah, there you go. I know who. I think we all know who we're talking about. Who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, the man who later went on to pioneer Mick Westian 2 space.
Yeah.
They even have to presuppose that when they're getting the equator value.
Yeah, the equator is derived from the path of the sun.
They put that as the. I'm not too sure that it is. Well, not that I'm disagreeing that it's the path of the sun, but they try and make it so. They try and say that, let's just say Libreville in Africa, in Gabon. Is Libreville Gabon? Libreville, anyway. It's on the equator in Africa, the city of Libreville. And if you get a straight line distance from the North Pole to Libreville, it's like 6,000 or 7,000 miles, 6,500 miles, or maybe a bit more. But the globe's distance from the North Pole to the equator is like 3,000 to 4,000 miles. So the equator can't be what they're saying it is, because it doesn't make up. I mean, it can be, but only if it's a globe. If you know what I mean. Am I explaining myself?
You're saying that their numbers are off even in their presupposition.
Yeah, well, if you look at the distance from the North Pole to the equator on the globe, it's only like 3,500 or 4,000 or something like that miles. But if you go from anywhere from the North Pole to anywhere on the equator, as in just a straight line distance, Libreville is on the equator, if I remember correctly, then it's like 6,210 or something like that is the actual radius if you're going in a straight line. So the only way that the equator can be the size the same is if we're on a globe, kind of thing. It's a bit strange. The whole thing is very strange. I've been looking into it a lot. I've been doing a lot of looking into it, different distances and sizes.
So you're saying in their presupposition model, it's backwards. It should be longer. It should be switched around, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the distance from the North Pole to Libreville is definitely 6,000 to 7,000 miles and Libreville's on the equator. That's a definite, because if you're taking a flight to go from one to the other, I know you're not going to go from the North Pole, but the point I'm making is, if you were going that, if using the word if you're going that distance from the North Pole to Libreville, then you're going to have a much greater distance.
Hang on, Brian. What is, this would be a good discussion. What is, if you took off from Libreville at the equator from where you say, and you go to the nearest airport to the North Pole, what would that nearest city and airport be to the North Pole?
Well, the closest place to the most northerly part is a place called Norgam, I think it is. Is it Norgam in northern Siberia? I think that's the most closest. But I don't even know if they have an airport. They don't have an international airport, let's say.
Okay, if you can find the nearest city with the nearest commercial airport, that's the nearest to the North Pole, and take it down to Lieberman and see what those miles are that the airlines say it is. That would be interesting.
I'd say it'd probably be northern Finland, or somewhere, one of the cities in northern Finland, somewhere like that, or somewhere northern Finland, I'd say.
No. So there's a group of islands way to the north as part of Norway, Svalbard land. There's places way up there.
Yeah, but would you be able to get an international flight, because you would need a plane big enough to
no, not a flight. There's no flights going there. You can go there by boat.
Yeah, but that's what Tent Man is asking for. It's not a Tent Man. You're looking for a flight.
Yeah, commercial. That way we can validate it with their
light. You can validate exactly. Yeah.
I think that is Murmansk in Finland.
Yeah, Murmansk.
That's the last spot where airplanes would go. Or maybe Greenland somewhere. I don't know.
I don't know if they'd have an international flight to Greenland, though. There wouldn't be enough.
Well, Greenland should have at least one airport. Make no sense.
Yeah, but would it have an international flight, though? Because international flights are something that are going regular, and they'd have to have maybe right.
There's a place that I can see now in the northernmost tip of Canada. It's called Alert. Alert, Nunavut, Canada. Oh wait,
right, but first,
that's a military base.
None of it.
But first, you have
I
to
think
prove
that's what you're
that
trying
there's
to
an
say.
equator.
Sorry?
But first,
None
you
of
have to
it.
prove there's an equator.
Oh, right. Well, equator is just a measure where the sun is at its highest over the surface of the Earth. So
See, what I'm saying would
not a real
make the
thing.
sun's path around the equator. Sorry, what I'm saying would make the sun's path around the equator, like making the sun's path bigger. I
You
should
got
say.
to prove. You have to prove the equator. Is what I'm asking.
What? Why? It doesn't
Well,
prove anything.
the
Does that?
equator is
It's a
Does
just
it?
derivative. It's a
path of the sun.
derivative from celestial
Hang on.
behavior.
Hang on. Hang on.
No.
On the flat Earth. Well, do you want a discussion or do you want to cry? On the flat
Continue.
Earth, do we have an equator?
Well, we'd have the path of the sun, or the path
Then
of the
that's
sun.
the path of the sun. I'm saying on the flat Earth, do we have an equator or does it only exist on the globe?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, is that equator only a globe thing? Yeah.
Okay, so now let's change the subject. The path of the sun, which is not the equator. It's just the path of the sun.
Yeah, it's not the edge of anything. Yeah,
All
but
right, so from the path of the sun
yeah.
to where?
Well, when you do the equinoxes, the path of the sun at the equinoxes, that's
I know,
be the
but where?
equator.
What are we measuring from the path of the sun on a place on Earth that we're under it to where? We're calling it the North Pole. What's the North Pole?
Well, it would be the center point.
Of what?
The center point of whatever we're on.
Well, wouldn't that be the equator?
What do you mean?
Wouldn't that be the middle? If you're going to say that's the middle or the center point of what we're on, wouldn't that be the middle of what we're on?
Yeah, that'd be the center. The North Pole would be the center, whatever the North Pole.
But how do we know that?
Well, when I say the North Pole, yeah, well, whatever. What I'm saying the North Pole, I'm not talking about. I'm not saying for definite that it's an icy place.
I'm not saying it's substance.
I just clarifying. I'm not saying anything definite about it. You know, I don't know what. It would be the center of wherever, whatever this is, kind of thing.
Well, how do you even define the North Pole? Are you talking about the celestial North Pole, which we don't even know for certain is a point, but it's just a certain region for the sun behavior? Or do you mean magnetic North Pole? Or do you mean the presupposed North Pole of the globe? Because that's
well, I'll be talking magnetic north only, not true north. I'll be talking magnetic north. But the thing about true north is, this is another funny thing, and I've been looking at, and I've been looking into it. You look at the latitude and longitude lines. When you flatten them out, obviously, right, and you start counting from the center out, then
you're already presuming.
Rather than.
Do you see what's happening? Do you see what's happening?
I know, yeah, but listen, I know what you're saying. So I'm pre-assuming a globe by the latitude and longitude lines.
No,
is that what you're saying?
No, not necessarily. No, you're presuming a center. That's also a presupposition.
How many of us have been to the North Pole and been at the exact North Pole as described as the North Pole exists? Not that it does, but
exactly.
But
look,
we
don't know if it is a North Pole point. It could be that there is more beyond. We don't understand the orientation definitively.
That's one of the things that was interesting for me about the difference in the distances. We're told, let's say, if you go from the North Pole to Libreville, on a straight line distance, is a couple of thousand miles longer than the North Pole to what is known as the equator on the globe. Now, so we're on a flat plane. So that means that there has to be more area and land in the center we don't know of it.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's just
if the equator region is bigger,
not everything is as straightforward as we would like them to be. Even the celestial relations. For example, one minor detail that I figured out is that the actual distance per latitude starts to differentiate the further away from the equator you go. So even the heavenly relations in relation to the
Where
surface of
did you
the Earth
get
is not
latitude?
perfectly linear.
Where did you get latitude, Arvin?
It's derived.
Okay.
Yeah, but
What I'm saying is that latitude, when you go further and further north, suddenly the sun angle becomes greater over the same distance. That's try to explain that on anything.
say that to me again. The sun
Could
angle
you
becomes greater when you go
could you
north.
get latitude from? Sorry, go ahead.
Yes. Now the sun angle becomes shorter per same distance unit. So
Yes,
it's like it
but the sun
speeds
is
up
rising.
the further
Are
you
you
go
talking about
north.
when the sun is
south.
over the Tropic of Cancer?
What?
You talking about what time of year are you talking about?
No, it doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with seasons. It has to do with the latitudes. It's officially registered. You can look this up even on Google. Latitudes are not perfectly synchronous. They differentiate over 2 miles eventually per block.
Yeah,
Significant distance change. That means
as
that
you
the
go
angular relation with the
out
sun
south,
is
is
not
it?
linear.
All right. Let me see
So
if I can
where did you get
The reason,
latitude
grab
one second,
from?
something.
sorry. The reason I asked that 1 second is that the solar annulina, the original solar annulina, has the sun rising and lowering in the sky and making bigger and smaller circles. The original solar annulina, not Kepler's annulina. So there would be different angles at different times of year. Times of the year. That's what I was asking boy about that.
Look, winter time is coming for California. Winter time is coming here, right? So the sun is setting in a different location on the horizon to my eye view than it was when it was the height of summer. I could see, I have this little hill, or it's not mountain, but it's a hill range. And I know exactly where it's going to set in the height of summer, and I know how low it's going to set to the left of me as I look in the height of winter, let's put it that way. So obviously, I'm a flat earther, so I know that the luminaries have a circuit, seasons, times, all these things. So I'm observing with my own eye the sun setting lower and to the left of these hills in the winter, and in the summer, higher and longer to the right of these hills. This is what I'm observing. Now, I don't know what they're talking about, North Pole, exactly, because I haven't been there, and I'm not sure we know exactly what this plane looks like because we've only seen their official version of it.
Yeah, well, like this, what you're saying about the sun makes sense because that's what I would have observed from South Ireland. I observed the same thing from the summer to the. Now I'm not as south as you, obviously, but I'm not. I observed the same thing from our summer to our winter,
Right. So
and
you're
that's
validating. You're
yeah, it's exactly
validating
the same
this.
thing.
Yeah, you're validating the same observation from your location, more north than me, but it's doing the same thing.
Yes. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
exactly. That's why, like in Newgrange, the very old monument in the Druids monument in Newgrange on the 24th of December. That's why the sun can shine into that chamber because of how low it is in the sky.
What?
yeah.
In
So they
Newgrange,
figured that.
yeah,
Yeah, so they
yeah,
figured that out and built something there, or it's natural, and you see it only at that time.
yeah. It's only that. It's only for them 2 days. It's 21st and into the
Wait,
22nd. I think it's for 2 or 3 days
are you
that
talking
happens.
about Stonehenge now?
No, Newgrange,
New-
Newgrange in Ireland,
What is
in
that?
County
Sorry.
Meath. Newgrange is like an old. It's built by the Druids. It was an old. It's like a temple. It's like a temple,
Sorry,
and the
where is that?
sun. It's in County Meath in Ireland. Newgrange,
Ireland.
Newa. Yeah, County Meath.
Okay,
The
good.
21st of December, which is the southern summer solstice or winter solstice. The sun shines directly in there. Only
Fascinating.
for that day, I think the day after. That's it.
And this happens yearly?
Oh, we never failed. And Newgrange is, they reckon, several thousand. I don't know. It is what they say. Several thousand
Okay.
years older than the pyramids.
Okay, so
Can I make a small remark in between that? Sorry for being so disruptive, but isn't that just remarkable that
Sorry.
such ancient
I'll back.
traditions,
Sorry.
such ancient celestial
Hold on,
traditions
Owen.
based on the exact coordination of the heavens for so long are still there, yet baller cosmologists claim that the Earth's spin just changes all the time.
You went right where I wanted to go, Arwin. Good job.
Right.
1,000 miles at the equator, 66,000.
Like, oh my God, the wobble changed. Something changed.
Yeah, right.
So then
Right on.
nothing should line up anymore, ever again. But it doesn't. It always lines up once it's built.
Perfect. Is that the conclusion?
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add,
I'm
Brian?
done with it.
I just want to see if Brian's got any concluding points before I shout out Luke. He might be on the phone though, so I'll do it anyway. Right, so shout out to Luke for the super chat. It says, have you guys seen Wakey Wakey's latest video? Yeah, I have.
I haven't, but I have it open for watching. The astrophysicist is a girl. Freiberg, right?
Yeah, astrophysicist. So yeah, big shout out to Wakey Wakey, Mark Knight. Thank you very much for mentioning me in your video. I really do appreciate it. He describes an oil rig and said to make an oil rig which seems to be there, not actually be there.
Yep. The world is a ball, but sight itself has destined everything to warp into an apparent flat plane to us all, including equipment.
I'm back there. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Did you have anything you wanted to round out concluding that point? I mean, Arwin and 10th Man just made it nice and conclusive, but I don't know if you heard what they said or you wanted to add anything, Brian.
I didn't hear what they said, Nathan, because I was on the phone. I missed it. If they want to repeat it, grand. If not,
yeah, because it was your point. So if one or other of you, 10th Man or Arwin, I don't mind who, can just repeat that.
Well, I went first. If 10th Man can do his version. You're on mute.
Do you want to summarize the concluding point because it was so concise? Go ahead, Arwin. You just repeat what you said.
Okay, this sounds a bit silly, but what did I say again?
You're talking about the patterns being off after a year.
Oh yes, right, yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, just like in the pyramid, there's also something with the.
Hold on a second, Brian. You're gonna have to be a bit more vigilant with your mute button.
Yes, I'm sorry. I won't mute for a second.
Right, unique buildings and structures around the world that have been built specifically to account for celestial situations at the time. Like, for example, in the pyramid, certain point, there's a star coming through right at the perfect time. And then apparently in Ireland, there's also stone structures built to do similar things. Well, those structures work and keep on working with those phenomena of the star positions exactly because the celestial bodies never change. While at the same time, globe cosmologists claim that the Earth is basically just happens to spin the way it does by accident, and anything can change it. And they even claim that the star heavens do change over billions of years. Yet there's all these structures, even thousands of years old, and they still work. The stars are still lining up exactly as when they were built.
Yeah, I agree totally. Even my cousin trained as an archaeologist, and he was told about an exactly similar structure as what's in Newgrange that was in a valley in Egypt, and they moved it to put a dam down or something stupid like that. But this, it was for a different time of year, maybe equinox or something like that. But the exact same thing happened. And when they moved it, no matter what they did, they tried to rebuild it somewhere and get the same thing to happen, and they could never make it happen. He said they tried and tried and tried, and they were always out. The sun never shone in there when it was supposed to shine in there, and I reckon that's because they were believing they're on a globe.
Quick shout out to Flat Earth Data. It says the Earth is flat and man is the psyop. Thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate your support, Flat Earth Data.
Sorry for the shop talk.
What shop talk?
Is somebody changing the room size?
Me. Sorry. Was it you changing it? I didn't know who changed it up. Okay, yeah, it's just so I can keep it. I can't, if there's more than maybe 16 or 17 members in that room, I can't keep tabs on them. So if it gets heated and I need to quickly look across to figure out who's rumpusing, I can't figure it out if there's more than like 16 or 17 people in there.
Oh, fair enough. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
My bad.
In the after show, all hell can break loose, you know what I mean? But when it's live, I just want to keep it relatively under control when we're live.
No explanation needed.
Hello, Nathan. This is
Hello.
I'm first time here.
Very good to have you. Is it water? Look.
Water ball LOL.
Water ball LOL. Nice screen name.
LOL. Yeah. Okay.
Very nice to have you.
It's my character, my comic character in Finnish language. I have this comic, whatever stand-up comic character called in same name in Finnish language. But I'm going in. I have one question because you have done many debates, and I'm going to be in debate in Finland in Finnish language as my nature or first language. Give me some hints. I don't know my opponent who is going to be. It's pretty hard to find an opponent here in Finland, and it's going to be in some kind of radio. I don't know if it's an internet radio, real radio, but some kind of radio as well. So give me a couple of hints to my first debate.
Okay. My first hint would be the best argument that there is to debunk their model, which is the assertion that you can't have gas pressure without a container. So that would be my opening gambit if I were you. The second thing, as you said, give us a couple, would be to understand implicitly what science is. So you can unpick any assertions that are made or claims that are made in regards to scientific validity or empiricism offered with a suggestion of a globe Earth. So the two tips I would give you is understand the argument that the sky vacuum violates natural law and what is science. Those would be the two things I'd suggest. Okay,
right.
That helps.
So in one sentence, the scientific method and the second law of thermodynamics.
Yeah, understand science and natural law. That should be dead easy.
And call him a crayon.
I would also add on to that. Obviously, whenever they start one of their arguments, it always starts with a presupposition that they live on a ball anyway. So listen to that, and you can basically pick it apart.
I will come back to your reaction, but just to add to that, I just had a moment of, like, what would an alcoholic call it? A moment of clarity. So if you listen, if you think back to what I've just said, what's my answer? So if you want to win a flat Earth argument, understand what real science is and understand natural law. So let's just unpack that. So if you understand the empiricism of science and how nature works, you'll win when you're arguing for flat Earth against fundamentalist religious zealots who think they live on a ball. Isn't that incredible?
That's incredible. It's beautiful.
Isn't it ironic?
I love it.
When they use those things as an illusion that they're winning. Isn't that just funny?
Here's another small point. Point number 3. If they ask you to explain something that you haven't made claims for, then expose them. Because they're going to do it. They're going to ask you to explain something you didn't make any claims for. Right? And
exactly.
It's a refrigerated rule of mine. I don't explain things I don't make claims for. And just rub their nose in it. Have them explain it. And then validate it by experiment. Thanks.
Yeah, I like the little shortcut from some debate maybe last week about the clock. It was amazing. I love what you put in there, and I tend to do this pretty similar thing. Okay, we see too far, and that's it. And that is my scientific observation. We see objects from I don't know 50 miles or 70 kilometers, which should not be visible.
No.
It's not scientific.
Hold on. Yeah, the phraseology is just off. Shouldn't see it. I tuned into Celebrate Truth about 10 hours ago, and on his stream, I don't know if it was live or a 24-hour, I don't know, it just auto-played, but there was a guy on it saying, based on the calculator, we should or shouldn't see this amount of whatever he's observing with his P900, and he's very proud of his declaration of how much should or shouldn't be there. By doing so, you're automatically begging the question that is their calculator, and saying, their model says this is how much of the clock you should or shouldn't see. Now, in that little soundbite that everyone's got really excited about for some reason, I don't know why, I've said it about 100 times plus, like literally, but for some reason it's just caught on. But great, when you look at a clock or an oil rig or whatever it is you're targeting, lighthouse, you're just seeing a lighthouse. That is the end of the explanation. There is no what should or should not be there. It's just a lighthouse. It's just an oil rig. It's just a clock. It's just the docks at Barrow and Furness. It's just whatever the hell you see. There is no explanation required whatsoever. But we're duped into immediately saying, but the model we assume we were on when we were programmed said it shouldn't be there. So let's try and explain why it shouldn't be there. That's when you get into the slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena holographic projection of an oil rig from behind the reified edge of an Earth curve based on an R value, hijacking the perspective, utilising the reified edge that is the horizon to bring an oil rig clock or lighthouse back from where it shouldn't be according to a question that's been begged that Earth's spherical. Now, all that crap can be completely ignored. You just say, oil rig. Because that's what it is. There's no explanation needed. It's an oil rig. But only if you're a flat earther. Because it shouldn't be there, or should be, though. There's a bit too much missing, or a bit too much looming, or a bit too much of the ground obscuring the bottom of it, if you're comparing it to a reification of a model. And there's absolutely no necessity to do that whatsoever. Oil rig, lighthouse, clock, docks, mountain range, whatever. It's just there it is. It's a picture. Only if you're a flat earther, though.
Exactly, and I will try to be. My first, what I thought I put there is that we can see to far. I'm not so familiar with this gas pressure against and little
trouble.
Yeah, you're already in trouble. Too far.
Yeah, I feel
what
like...
do you mean? When you say too
Hold
far...
on 1 second.
Just before we get to gas pressure, I just want to round that out again.
Go ahead.
So too far. No. You're just seeing an oil rig. You're just seeing a clock. You're just seeing a lighthouse. There's no too far about it. Because too far implies by comparison to something else. So there's no need for any of that. It's like, when you're explaining it to a globe head, well, there's a clock and we shouldn't really see it. No. Or there's a clock and it's a bit too far compared to the model that you'll then beg the question for them.
Hey, Nathan.
Yes,
there's
QE.
another
exactly.
problem.
Yeah, I understand, because then I'm like I'm them talking about their model calculations, which I don't need because I don't have any their model. I have what I see.
Exactly. You see what's there because it's there, and there's no explanation required. You just see it because you see it.
Nathan, do you hear John?
I had to mute him because he's interrupting the other guy. Sorry.
Shut up. Shut up, John.
Arwen getting his digs in. I love it.
John, go on mute.
You're freaking kidding me.
Go ahead.
Why'd you move? Why'd you move me?
Because you interrupted the guy. It's his point. He's asking us for advice on what to do, and he's just summarising that he's understood. And then you're like, there's another problem.
Yeah, there is a problem.
Go ahead.
Right, that was a point. I loved your point. It was perfect. However, when he first started out, he said my scientific observation. Do you know what the scientific method is?
You mean me? Or
yeah.
I think we observe things, we measure things, and we have these experiments when we start to try to figure out things, how they work? It's based. I think it's based in observations.
I'm going to tell you something. I don't mean anything derogatory or anything personally against you, but if you're going to play lumberjack, go out and debate on behalf of the flat earth, and you don't know these basic arguments or the scientific method, my suggestion is not to do it.
Oh my God, I agree with John.
Yeah, I third that. So,
okay, so I should learn about the scientific method.
May I say something?
You go ahead.
I have a resource for you, sir. So if you go to, I don't know if you use Reddit, but if you go Reddit and /r/not-a-globe, there is plenty of information. You need to just go through it. There's stuff from this show, there's stuff from other shows, and there's a search function up top. You can put in certain keywords, and just you're not ready. You're just not ready. I don't think you're ready.
Okay, well that's absolutely true, and I'm glad you've got
fine.
You've got that resource. But yeah, I would agree. To use quantum eraser's analogy, to go out with a vague understanding of these concepts, my opening gambit being understand natural law and actual science. Well, that's precisely what we're talking about here. But just so you've got the bare bones to go away from, when we say understand actual science, we mean understand that the application of the scientific method is to establish cause and effect based on an observed phenomenon that has an independent variable, a presumed cause of the effect, the dependent variable, phenomena observed at step 1. The formulation of what I have just described would be a scientific prediction, otherwise known as a hypothesis. So to give you the 2 steps thus far, we've got observe a natural phenomena, followed by formulation of a hypothesis, which would also include a null, giving you the empiricism the scientific method offers. The null being the antithesis of your prediction. If A, your independent variable, presumed cause of the effect, then B, the observed phenomena observed at stage 1, the null will be if A, not B. If you vary your presumed cause, it does not cause the effect. So you have a scientific prediction which has a positive assertion, guess, if you will, what you presume causes the effect you observed, and what will happen if you get it wrong, the null hypothesis. Now, this is all for nothing if it's not backed by systematic experimentation, the validation of the hypothesis, the actualization of your hypothesis, otherwise known as experimentation. So upon validity being given to your prediction, you then have a valid hypothesis or confirmed cause of an effect. Once you have multiple verified hypotheses, you can formulate what is known as a scientific theory. Now, the understanding of all of those details, convoluted and complex though it may seem to a newbie, is to understand that when somebody in this argument would assert that Einstein has a theory, you can say, for example, what was the experiment that preceded his theory, only to discover very quickly that it's a colloquial theory and no scientific validity is in Einstein's thought experiments. But it's the understanding of what the scientific method is and where you get scientific theories from that would be able to enable you to defeat an opponent when they assert nonsense like pseudo-Riemannian force space, bending of space-time, gravity, Cavendish experiment, because they'll drop these words in. And knowing what that method is means you can unpack somebody's false assertion that they have an experiment to back a bullshit claim of something like gravity. So it's not an easy chainsaw to wield, although it may seem so when you just hear the odd phrase like, what's your independent variable? And then, no offence, I know he's on the panel, but you'll hear someone like Spurs in a different debate asking somebody who hasn't made a claim that involves anything that would even require science for their independent variable, because they haven't necessarily grasped the full premise of what science is. Further to that, you've then got something to convolute the waters even further, called scientific law, inaccurately, because it hasn't gone through the scientific method, more accurately described as natural law. So all of these confusing paths are intentional, and they've been created by our pseudoscience opponents. So understanding, to conclude, and where I started, both natural law, otherwise known as scientific law, and the scientific method, otherwise known as cause and effect reasoning, validated by systematic experimentation, you're not going to get far when someone inappropriately or otherwise deems something scientific when it isn't, if you don't know what is. Hope that helps.
Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate. Yeah, I agree totally. I will go and do my homework with the scientific method. I think because I have observations and stuff. I know a lot of I know a little of lots of different things, but I agree. I will base on the scientific method, and I will learn how it will be or must be established to be accurate or to be applying the how the scientific method is done. Anyway, thank you very much. I have to go now. It was nice to talking you. Keep up the good work. I don't agree personally your attitude for people, but I agree you as a great flat earther.
Thank you very much. Well, just to plug it,
Okay.
We've got the concluding part of the Master of Science presentation on Saturday, the 16th of November. That's 2019, in case anybody's watching this at a later stage. And that's on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. So be here or be sphere for part 4 in the Master of Science presentation. There is also a link below in the info box of this video, either on Nathan Oakley 1980, or if you're watching this live on Nathan Oakley, there's a link to the science versus pseudoscience presentation. Most of the presentations that are done in the info box of either video will give you guidelines and hints and tips and correct vernacular in terms of scientific terminology. So check out any of those links, but specifically be here or be sphere on Saturday the 16th of November for Ballbusters. I believe it's episode 26, which is the concluding part of the Master of Science presentation by Quantum Eraser himself. So check it out. That's how you do a plug, QE.
I want to do a shout out to Unbelievable Productions, who says in caps in chat, "Happy Dick Earth,
Happy Dick Earth Week."
everyone."
Oh, that's a dig at Jason McCormack, who comes in time after time saying Happy Concave Week. So Happy Dick Earth
I
Week.
can appreciate that.
So shout out to A Cruel Vision ACV for the super chat. It says, "Hey guys, love the show. What's Arwin's channel name?" Well, it's Arwin. You've spelt it correctly too. Oh, no, you've missed out the J. ARWIJN. I'll just say that again. ARWIJN. So check out the Flat Earth Early Bird, which is at 2 p.m. Amsterdam time, 1 p.m. UK time, and it's like 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's pretty early in the morning for you folks out in the States. So check it out on Arwin's channel. And again, the last super chat, you can't ever read it in the little box they give you. Probably because I've blown it up so much to to actually see it on my high-res screen. It's now overlapping. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. How about we all send Nathan to debate the guys on behalf? I don't really understand that sentence. I got 5 on it. Okay.
He's saying that you should debate the guy that Waterball is going to debate on his behalf, and he's got 5 on it for you.
He's Danish though, right?
Finnish,
did he say? Sorry, I misheard him.
Well,
yeah,
too
I
bad.
know him from 24/7. Cool guy.
Too bad he's not Danish. You just roll over him.
Oh my god,
that's terrible. It's just terrible.
So terrible, it's good.
Hey, I know one thing. That was another beautiful statements, followed by other beautiful statements that John Thorpe will make another video, because how you eloquently said those things, Nathan. This is why we're here on the show. Thank you for being honest and true.
Yeah, I can't take any credit, right? I only understand those things because of QE. So whatever.
I sent him a shout out already.
Yeah, but yeah, it's worth another shout out. So about 2 years ago, I feel slightly detrimental saying it in the way QE did, but he was like, you're a blank page. You basically don't know anything. So it's really easy to teach you all this stuff. So I just sat and listened, and quite often, I'm sure he'll back me up in this, I would have to ask QE to repeat the same thing about 10 times to me. And I qualified it with him early on. I'm like, look, I often won't understand it. I'll need it repeating about 10 times for me to get it, for it to sink in. So, I've got a lot of empathy for people when they come in and they're like, I don't really get it. Same with people like Spurs. I knocked him earlier, but I'll give him kudos. It's like, no, it's not the easiest thing to pick up on. And while we might say, this is 5th grade general science, yeah, but the application and the unpicking of a globehead argument carefully constructed to confuse people isn't 5th grade general science, and that's really what we're doing here. So to be able to do that, I've got all of my weapons from QE, so he really deserves the credit.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Super chat, by the way.
Go ahead. Do super chat.
Shout out to John, shut up. Arwin, it was his time. And then a little crying face. Shout out to Mario knows his flat.
That was great.
Nice one. Nice one. Well, both you and QE are a tandem. You guys make a team, and you phrase it. He comes on. He's got it. He's direct. He's bang bang. You're direct, but you summarize it in a different way than QE teaches it. So both of you are important. I get so much from QE when he's talking directly, and then when you summarize the points, I see in a different light because you're able to take what he says and put it through your lens cap.
Fair enough.
Nathan,
and you're
what you
producing
said before.
a ton of QEs and a ton of Nathan Oakley for the next generation. We're all learning here.
Oh, thank you. I'm flattered.
No, it's providence. God is using you.
How dare he?
He must.
Megatron's going to have a word.
Megatron.
Yeah, but I agree. Nathan is very influential when it comes just to a based, confidence-driven attitude towards ballers in general. Because it is kind of like becoming a cultural problem to dispel straw manning, red herring bullshitting, that the systematicness of that all, it's very hard to deal with for the average person. So to see somebody out there on the internet every day dispelling all this madness so persistently and eloquently, that is very inspiring, and it is necessary. It's a necessary example for humanity, and yeah, in order to survive, in my opinion, really. So
I just like saying that to win you need an understanding of science and natural law. That just cracks me up, really. The natural law's on our side. Actual science is on our side. So, when I ask the question, why are there so many depressed globeheads, and highlight the serious, very serious, I'm not even saying it in jest, it is actually genuinely a problem, I'm not even kidding, there's a lot of depressed globeheads. I jokingly say it's an epidemic, but it is actually a problem. Whereas I don't have any of those issues. That's why I kind of chuckle, because it's like, well, I'm not like that. I'm actually very, very happy. As much as it comes across that I'm really aggressive towards globeheads, it's like, well, no, because there's no bullshit that you want to tolerate when you know that you've got natural science and natural law on your side. You're like, well, how are you going to argue against that? Frustrating though it might be, we're basically in the right. I know everyone preaching to the converted when I say this to the panel, but we all know it's flat. We all know it's not spinning, and we're just unpicking the bullshit from liars. So that's what's frustrating, the bullshit from the liars. Not the fact that your average Joe Normie thinks he's on a ball because he's been brainwashed. It's just he doesn't know what he doesn't know. Nice to say that science would help him see it's flat, though.
Does anyone actually think that tearing apart a 500-year-old lie was going to be easy and courteous
Not at all.
I like being on the front lines of it though.
Yeah. Sorry.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, the only
Well,
downside.
there's some.
Oh, go on.
There's
jump on.
something. There's something in all of us that's the same, but we're all different, and we're on this show because of that one thing that's the same. Anyone know what that is?
Go on.
Truth. We're all wanting the truth.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I was going to say the problem we have, metaphorically speaking, as we used chainsaws as the analogy earlier, is that we've got at the front of our trench a whole row of really high quality, precision made chainsaws with the finest blades you've ever seen. And all they've got on the opponent's side is numbers, and they're all chucking papier-mâché globes, but they've got an endless supply of them to overwhelm you. And half the people on this side don't know how to start the chainsaw, and the ones that do can't operate it as well as needs be to defeat all those balls of bloody globe-shaped papier-mâché that are coming our way en masse. So, unfortunately, that's the situation we find ourselves in. It's all well and good knowing that natural law and science is on our side if the majority of the people arguing for flat Earth don't necessarily know how to use those points and those tools to their advantage.
If I had to take up a fight on the side against papier-mâché globes, I would just take the fuel out of those beautiful chainsaws, pour it all over it, and just light it up.
Fair enough.
And the arsonist comes out, huh, Arwen? The pyro?
Yeah, Arwen just wants to burn it all.
Although it could look pretty fun, though. Like trashing globes with chainsaws. But it would get very messy.
Well, it's already on fire, right? Because if it wasn't, we still wouldn't be here, right? This, again, I've said it before, this should have been shut down in 5 minutes. Not even. This should even be a thing. If we actually lived on a spinning ball in a vacuum, we wouldn't be debating it. We would just live on a spinning ball in a vacuum.
Right, and it wouldn't be censorship that shut us down. The truth would shut us down. Quick, sharp, pronto. You wouldn't need to censor us if we were wrong. And it would be laughable and ridiculous that we held to something that was incorrect. Not us winning daily. So, yeah.
Exactly.
If they were right, they'd be in the position we're in, with the shiny chainsaws of truth, labelled science and natural law. That would be the position they'd be sat in, saying, well, ironically, the exact position they told us they were in 2015. Science is on our side, they told us. Science proves the globe, they told us. Do we ever hear that anymore? No, quite the contrary.
Nope.
What do you need to win a debate, you say? What do you need to win? You need a good knowledge of science and natural law. That's what you need to win, because the natural law is telling you it's flat and stationary.
Yeah, now it's science doesn't prove things. Now it's you can't have an actual independent variable because an invisible green pixie might be fucking with your experiment. I mean, this is the type of nonsense. We got to debate the word "and." We got to debate air is not an atmosphere. It's gone to the point of ridiculousness now.
Yeah, so which "and" do you mean? The or "and" or the just "and"? Which one?
Well, they did what was it? Observation and experiment. So we had to, was it Rumpus who had the debate on what "and" means? Because they don't like observation and experiment.
Hey, chocolate.
We're at moving coffee and shoe.
Chocolate on the really is level, gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force.
Right.
You
but
could
you
think
don't have to
whatever
be on
you
the really
want,
is
because
level.
nobody else knows what it is anyway.
Exactly.
From an outside observer's view of the show, if you're listening to it over a course of time, it's like as if these people that come in with the ballers come in, it's like they're being shouted back into reality. It's like you have to literally, and it's like over and over again. If people listen to it, and listen to one show, they might think, oh no, that Nathan, he just shouts at people. But when you listen to a whole month of the show, then you realise why he has to shout. You realise, and you kind of go, yeah, shout some more, shout at him. He needs to be shouted at. Not learning, not getting it. It's like as if there's a spell, and Nathan and other people, obviously QE and other people on the panel, like just hammering the person. It's like a breaking the spell. You're trying to free somebody who doesn't realise that trap.
And even if those people that were fighting back and forth aren't able to free themselves from this heliocentric nonsense, the people that are listening are getting it. And I'm seeing the growth more and more. More people are watching the show. More people are understanding. Like the trolls come into the chats and get destroyed immediately. They can't even handle the people watching who are in the chats and lighting them up. It's a wrap for the ball now. So shout out to all of you people who are out there watching and learning, and as a team, #same team, as a team of truth seekers, we are destroying this globe that actually doesn't exist, and it's a beautiful fucking thing.
But they come into chat thinking they're going to meet the sophomore team, and they realize our chat room is the varsity.
Man, listen, I laugh sometimes when I'm watching the chat and I see that they'll straddle in, come in with their little, oh, what you got, and it's like, nope, you get shut down immediately, and it's beautiful.
Quick shout out to MC Universe Sacred Truth Seeker for the super chat. He says, what's happened to the Alex Jones debate, Nathan? Well, that's an interesting one and perfectly on topic with what Chocolate Saying was just describing. So people are watching, and is there a need to debate Alex Jones given that his network is now basically promoting the ideas of Flat Earth? Given the last documentary I saw that came out of that production studio, I would say that he doesn't really need much converting. He's on the track already.
Although I think Mike Adams might be up for an actual debating challenge at some point, because he's been continually saying like, oh yeah, flat earth, free speech is good, but I believe the globe. Sticks in the ground. So we might actually have a chance at some point to face him.
come through, Mike Adams, with your sticks in the ground.
I wouldn't have any faith yet in that, what's his name, Alex Jones. I don't trust him at all yet. I'd have zero faith that it's not going to be some hit piece or some nonsense.
No, we're fine. I agree with you, Brian. We're fine the way we are. It will naturally come to us. It will all happen very naturally, and it will be a paradigm shift for this show and the panel, as well as all our chat room ninjas, as I see them. They're all, the people, I can name them here in chat, they're just as strong as the panel. And so what will happen is we're just, this pressure is building that this is the place that kills the globe, and it's going to burst eventually, naturally. We don't have to go, make it up. It will happen naturally.
Yeah.
And with that, I'll say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on the Nathan Oakley channel, then this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of today's live panel for making this show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the audience for smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. As I say, stay tuned if you're watching on the Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!